How's it going? You know, I want to do a little side note, on something that's very important. Something that's very important, man. I put some notes together and stuff like that to cover this information. And it's very interesting to me, without bias. This old school. This is old school. This is very old school. I go, Mr. Tracks. That's my history. From a music producer perspective, and from the magazine, I can show you my whole binder. Actually, let me show you that. Why I'm doing that? Because I have to temporarily. Whole binder. This was right when I did my first trademark and copyright back in 2008. Yeah, 2008. With this issue. Let me show you. I'm going to have this issue. Send all this to the judge. Make a copy of it. Send the judge this shit. This is the very first issue, 2008. The first trademark. This is actually my very first trademark. Yeah, you'll see my name. You'll see it, right? So we have this part. These are all Chicago right here. This Chicago right here. I mean, before this, I was recording. I gotta laugh, man. Y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand what people go through. That's why I live by the law of my yacht. I move a certain way. I'm on a different frequency. Bottom my heart is a feather. This right here, look at this. It's classic. This is classic, but guess what? They broke up right when we published it. Sucks. Old school. This is all these people. What's the difference? And then, yeah, this is in line with what I'm about to tell you, what I'm about to do as a side note right now. For the record, for the public record. And even if it's not again views, whatever, at least it's for the record. And they probably tempered that now. Because, architects, people go through this shit. Let me show you something. Oh, this issue. Ran across this bro. I was on code. I hope you understand it. I think, yeah, he do. Good father figure. They great people. I hope he had ownership of it because, I was always concerned about our people, bro. Trust me, y'all have no idea. I always was concerned about our people and myself, of course, in that process. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted. This was really thick too. This issue. Oh wow! Did the whole issue. Oh man, this heavy. This one heavy. Then it got heavier too. Hey, you gotta look at it. This issue right here. This go way back. This guy go way back right here. This goes back in my Forest City Mall area. We go right here. Freestyle Fridays and stuff. Shit down there and shit empty when I left. This right here. This shit awesome. Right here. Let's see. Right here. Then we have this, right? This came with an album. I mean, I had a collaboration album of the artists and shit, the Red Letter. I have way many more of this. You gotta go on the website, and then the website don't have one. So, this old. Yeah, that's why I was like, man, where to respect that in certain areas from certain people. I'm not name calling. I do enough for that in my magazine. This one is very interesting. This was more about, that's where the whole magazine started from all this information that I'm about to express. Now we got older and did alignment process, right? Look at this, you can't say I'm a racist. I don't want to talk about none of that bullshit. All that y'all. Here, speak from the source. All this stuff is speculation, hearsay. Y'all got to interview the source. All that other stuff is agent provocatorship. And here we go. Yeah, all this. Yeah, I got this signed contracts and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not playing. I was already been on my business. Don't think I don't take care of my business. I don't want people think I don't take care of. I'm lazy. This ain't this. I went to Australia with the shit. It ain't lazy, trust me. It's not easy either. But then, woo, right? All right. So this is an old Bible. This is like volume. I guess volume 1, huh? Volume 1 of the shits. Volume 1 and 2. Because I did so many other issues and independent issues and overseas issues, international. I took it international and stuff. And then, moving forward. And then, turn into a co-op. It still exists and stuff. Still got it. I've been through that stage before. You know what I'm saying? I've been there. That stage before, and it's interesting, how people try to downplay your credibility, that's why I deserve that seat at almost any, especially like the Chicago Reader, the Reader, for sure. I definitely should be a writer for that place. But here go the side note, right? Here go the side note. So let me read the side note right here. I want to make sure I frame it up right quick. And yeah, so a quick side note is something very important that I wanted to mention about ownership and monthly investments, right? Turning ownership into monthly culture rhythms is powerful. Trust me, I know. I know. Capital information has always followed habits and structure and access. That's shit. I know how to get people in line, and I had due diligence. You can hear my full story on how I took it international and stuff, and travel, you'll see, but during this time is very interesting. But from the system side of the table, there's a deeper layer that to consider in this. What happens when the communities move beyond, just investment behavior and being designed as resource alignment frameworks. That's the whole ball game here that I've been doing from the ideal man perspective. And the ideal man is an institutional alignment framework for a resource-based alignment concept. Well, I wouldn't say concept. It's active, active now. Now I'm in the process of IP protection again, going through that infringement. Yeah, I can't believe it. I knew it. That's why, and and certain people don't, they try to, how people try to get away, how much they can get away with type situation. That's kind of what this situation is. So, I have been developing the IAO, right, which is an Indigenous Alignment Ordinance, right? Indigenous Alignment Ordinance, and RBA, which is a resource-based alignment framework, what I explained. And the conversation shifts from simply pulling capital to structural lawful resource governance and stewardship over the underlying assets for themselves. So they can basically keep the assets in an autopilot format doing due diligence, especially at this time when we're in technology area. So ownership is one layer, but alignment is the architect of it. You have to understand. Alignment, architect, that's why I take it, draw a circle with a right angle, pyramid top, map. Yeah. So monthly investment is a habit, right? Resource alignment is an institutional model, institutional speaking. And I want to say from a personal standpoint as well, I'm currently navigating through situations where I felt targeted, well, of course, in different environments. But instead of, reacting emotionally, but instead of acting emotionally, I've cried and stuff, ain't nothing wrong with that. And therapy work and things of this nature. I've chosen to respond by building frameworks, doing stuff that I always do. That's how I came up with the magazine. I just imagine where my mind is at now. I mean, if you really, really do know me. documenting and structural turning pressure into lawful architectural stuff, because when you start designing an alignment system, you're not just solving a movement. You are building something that can outlast the movement. That's why I come up with this phrase, surpassing 7 generational thinking. And 7 generational thinking indigenously in America is a practice that the lost art that we do, but it's been adapted by foreign invasions through the process of misclassification. If you understand my Twitter, go to Twitter, @AhaElBay, you'll see the breakdown on that. I do have my other Twitter active. It's a lot of stuff that I got locked out through this process with Level Up Magazine when I was seeing they was on some other, they didn't want to pay the license to use my trademark and things of this nature in that category classes, because when you start designing alignment systems, you are not just solving a movement. I'm building something that can outlast the movement. So surpassing 7 generational thinking, right? So surpassing 7 generation thing. Really, that's really what we should be doing. That's what the level we should be on right now. Like really, none of us should not be going through an experience based on my research and other scholarly research. Just don't hear it from me. We definitely, this is not supposed to be happening. So that's why I come out with that book with people got very good at doing the wrong thing and how misalignments and things of this nature can cause harm, and how alignment actually cause a new order. So now where the border perspective comes in. So right now we're living between 2 versions of America. One rooted in original indigenous relationships to land, resource, and stewardship, and the other spaces by the administrative system that involves later. When those systems fall out of alignment, you start seeing social pressure, economic imbalance, and even conflict across the world that minus those same governance issues. You see a lot of that stuff right now on Twitter, or I say X. I'm used to saying Twitter, x.com, X. You funny. Well, now I think about some shit. Okay. Okay. History, shit. Nothing. Y'all won't get it. This is an internal thing right now. Hold on. History architecturally give us example of alignment if people look closely. Here is Chicago. Here in Chicago, many people live here for years and never know about the legacy of the Bronzeville and the institution of the disciple, the Black Museum, misnomer, historical museum and educational center where the history early alignment and like the Illinois soldiers and that their economic organizing, the documents and the historical values of there was a threshold line, right? From this is all there, right? Kitty Hawaii. That's a whole nother historical thing. I don't want to go deep into that right now, but I'm just trying to express this as a side note that history shows how communities create structural discipline and resource coordinated long before modern economic moderns tied into rediscovering, by rediscovering it, before they tried to rediscover it. So when I talk about IAO, which is Indigenous Alignment Ordinance, I'm not just talking about theory, I'm talking about reconnecting governments, resources and community stewardship in a way that history already demonstrate was possible, especially like we in a era right now killing the electric car, right? The electric cars been out, bro. Been out, and there's an era thing that called killing the electric car because of the misalignment that's designed for us to fail as a mass. And I'm taking the indigenous perspective off of it, but I'm saying as a mass, you know what I'm saying? So here we go into this. So when I talk about the IAO, which is Indigenous Alignment Ordinance, I'm not talking about theory. I'm not talking about connect. I'm talking about reconnecting governance, resources, and community stewardship in a way that history always demonstrated was possible. Ownership matters, but alignment determines whether ownership actually produces generational structure versus generational failure, or the rites of passage that we got used to somehow through programming and algorithm hacking and implanting mind. See where my mind goes? All right. So the real question is, I'm a publisher. I mean, shit. Like, think of me as a black Alex Jones, I guess. So the real question becomes not just who invests, but who designs the lawful architecture through which those resources are governed and stewardship by. So that's where this the real leverage begins. So that's where I'm at right now with that process of Indigenous Alignment Ordinance. So I just want you to understand that, because there's a lot of people, and I know my culture, it was for the culture, right? I know my culture. It was for the culture. I know. It was for the culture. So I know my people. I know my culture for sure. Indigenously, I know my history. I know my goddamn. And I'm not saying I know a lot of things. I'm not one of those guys who know the names off top of it. I clap for it in perspective, but yeah, I definitely at the table. I'm definitely at the table and definitely on top of the mound, shit, for sure. So and it's not our ego. It's just that I'm an observer, shermatically speaking, if you want to say. Shermatically, that's where I'm at now, from indigenous perspective. So I know my culture, we have a cosmic distance on certain issues in the fair by implantment of many tactical warfare. So I know what's wrong with us. I know what's wrong with, through healing, I guess, through, the pandemic, that process and stuff like that, man. It's just like, man, I wanted to be on the YouTube a while ago, but I've been on the field most of the times and kind of been behind the scenes and then been compromised in certain areas with this. As you can tell, the trademark itself will speak for itself and everything will be transparent in that along the line of what I represent and exist. So that's all I want to say for the record. One love, you guys.